So what's driving these latest moves? Here to discuss, Michael Casey is Chief Content Officer at CoinDesk. Michael, it's great to see you. So let me just start with the obvious question, which even a lot of the specialists, let's call them, in the Bitcoin community, there's some high-profile bears and people who have been saying this, this is a sort of dead cat bounce, to borrow the parlance. Why? What do you think accounts for the rebound that we're experiencing?
I think there's a whole host of factors. It is actually something of a return to the narrative that we were seeing earlier in the year. I don't think we're seeing anywhere near the same level of institutional interest that we were talking about back then. I think last time you had me on the show, actually. But we are seeing evidence that bigger players are entering the market, right? And this is, I think, in some respects, also driven around the broad narrative that there is a lot of uncertainty in the world, the direction of, you were just talking with Bob Asani about, what is the outlook for the Delta variant? These things, I think, feed back into this ongoing concern of uncertainty around monetary policy, the expectation that the Fed's going to keep going. All of that is supportive of Bitcoin, and for various reasons. And for those reasons as well, I think family offices and a whole host of other institutions that are interested. We're seeing bigger transactions come through, which is a sign that these bigger players are there. And then there's just a lot of what we call FUD in this industry, the fear and uncertainty is actually being mitigated a little bit. The Chinese news, the concerns around Elon Musk bad mouthing it, all these things, they've died down a bit. It's a bit of removing some of those headwinds, and it's a chance for people to continue to accumulate.
So also we've had this infrastructure bill with this amendment that would possibly classify, basically coders as brokers or what have you for crypto purposes. Mm-hmm. Is that language still in there? Do you think it's going to get passed at this point? Are people coming to terms with it?
I just read a column last week about this, saying one of these rare occasions when a loss is actually a victory for the crypto industry, because the story. One single senator, an 87-year-old man with an interest in something defense building, blocked a reasonable amendment to that law that would have removed some of that ambiguity and really ultimately unenforceable language that's in there, in a way that really underscored, 99 senators were on board with this. The 1% is the image that held us back here. It was a show of support, I think, for how much clout the crypto industry now is, how relevant it now is in this space. And so I think that was important. And as it goes to the House, yes, there'll be yet another battle through this. But look, this language, I think, will ultimately have to get corrected. Everybody seems to understand and recognize that it was flawed. And I think the fact that that recognition is there is probably the most important element of this. And it's yet another thing, I think, that helps to underscore a positive factor in this. I want to say one other thing as well I forgot to mention.
Sure.
Ethereum is, Ether has done really quite well. And there's been this significant London hard fork upgrade to their protocol, which means there's now, in the parlance of what they use in this space, they're burning tokens as part of the actual issuance function and how miners are awarded. And that actually creates a scarcity function, which starts to look a little bit more like Bitcoin. There is now, a supply function that looks more deflationary. All that supports crypto. The same time supports Ether. The same time that NFTs and DeFi, the sort of surge of activity in NFTs is just driving more and more activity through those protocols.
No, it is, and we talked a little bit about the lull in NFT volumes earlier, kind of in late spring, but those numbers have really picked up again. So I sort of see what's happening with the Bitcoin space, Ethereum, NFTs. That's all fine. What the heck is Litecoin? You've got 20 seconds, Mike. I mean, riddle me that one.
Litecoin was always considered the silver to Bitcoin's gold. It was basically a hard fork of Bitcoin, and you could have it as an alternative. It had a few different functionalities that made it seem a little bit more appealing. At the end of the day, though, it really is. It's just another coin. It doesn't have, I don't think, it has quite the same community as Dogecoin around it, but it's a Bitcoin hard fork